Ready?
Yeah. Okay, yesterday we were learning the dinim, what happens if you eat food during the meal, what foods are covered with the hametzi, which foods are not covered. So we're discussing foods that are eaten normally to fill you up, like the main fish, chicken, meat, eggs, I mean, things like that. So then you don't make a bracha on the food because it's covered with the hametzi. If it's things that are not, like fruits and desserts and things like that, so then you have to make a separate bracha. Unless if your meal is, let's say, bread and fruit, so then you eat a little bit of the bread together with the first time you eat the fruit, and then you don't have to make a bracha on it. Now, what happens about drinks in the middle of a meal? So the din is when you drink during the meal, after hametzi, you don't make a bracha. The only thing you make a bracha on, if you're drinking during a meal, is wine. Because wine is a chosh of a drink, it's a prominent drink. So therefore, for wine, if you drink wine during a meal, even though you made hametzi, you still have to make a bracha b'er pe'agav. This that we do by Kiddush, let's say on Shabbos, you make Kiddush before hametzi, and then when you drink wine during the meal, you don't have to make b'er pe'agav on the wine, because when you made Kiddush, you had in mind that you're going to be drinking during the meal also. But, but partially you have in mind, it's by the same table, by the same everything. That's not a problem. But the interesting shot is the machlekes in Shulchan Aruch. How about you drink mashke, whiskey, during the meal? Yayin saraf in halacha it's called, sharp wine. Do you make a bracha on yayin saraf, or don't you make a bracha on yayin saraf for mashke during the meal? So it's a machlekes, most poskim, and that's the way we hold, that you don't make a bracha on whiskey during the meal. The only one you make a bracha on is wine. That's the only thing you make a bracha on. By the way, there are poskim, we don't poskim like that, but there are opinions in halacha that say if somebody at the end of a meal drinks a cup of coffee or tea, they should make a bracha on it. But many poskim disagree, and that's our meaning that we don't make a bracha even if you drink coffee or tea at the end of a meal.
How about if you have a dessert wine? You don't plan to have any more wine? Do you have to say?
No, because unless if you had in mind you're benching and that's it. But if you still have in mind you're eating and drinking, it doesn't matter what you eat or drink.
What if you said kiddush but you don't plan to be drinking wine?
So he said that once you're sitting by the table, it's considered as you have in mind whatever's going to be drinking. Whatever you No, you don't have to say agafen again.
What's the thing about a better wine comes? Say about meeting?
There's a whole thing. Huh?
White wine.
You have a question, Michal. Do we make ateva meitav on wine today? But there's a lot of brachas that says in Shulchan Aruch that we don't make. Okay? You see a kushi. Yeah, you see an elephant, there's a bracha. You see the yam, there's a bracha. You see this, the poskim write that those brachas, ateva meitav, very. I don't know if anybody makes ateva meitav today. Maybe the Litvisher world, probably. Maybe.
Someone Davka has in mind not to drink wine, even if it's like it.
If he has in mind not to drink wine and he drinks wine, then he has to make a bracha. Why should he have in mind Davka not to drink wine?
He didn't like the wine. He said the wine isn't good, so he just has.
No, if he has in mind I'm not drinking any more wine and then he changes his mind, then he has to make a bracha. He has to make a new bracha on the wine.
Why on Pesach doesn't the Kiddush cover all 4 cups of wine?
Okay, so that's a good question. So it says in halacha, and the Rebbe brings it down in the Haggadah, because each cup of wine is prominent by itself. So by the way, not everybody holds it. Many opinions say on the second cup of wine they don't make a bracha, and the third one they do because they benched, and on the fourth one they don't. So according to many opinions in halacha, by the way, they only make a b'er pe'agafen on the first cup of wine, the third, which because it's after benching, and that's it. Our meaning, the Rebbe writes, it's based on Shulchan Aruch, but our meaning is that because each cup is a separate chshivas, prominence by itself, we make a bracha on each cup of wine, b'er pe'agafen. But the third, again, the first, for sure you have to make b'er pe'agafen. The one after benching, for sure you have to make a b'er pe'agafen, the third cup. The only question is second and fourth. So that's a machlekes, but our meaning is we make all the brachas.
But the wine you drink during the meal, in the center, you don't make it.
Right, the wine that you drink during the second and third cup, then you don't make a bracha because it's covered by the b'er pe'agafen that you done the second cup. Okay, next din over here is the din of mayim achreinim. Now, let's discuss the reason for mayim achreinim, why a lot of people are lenient, and why in the Hasidic world, especially in the Chabad Hasidic world, they're very strict on mayim achreinim. And not only Shabbos, by the way, anytime you wash for bread. Now the Gemara says, in the time of the Gemara, mayim achreinim was stricter than mayim rishonim for netilas yadayim. Why? Because the Gemara says, chamura sakanta miyisura. Sakana is very dangerous. So in the time of the Gemara, they have what was called melachos deimis. Melachos deimis we speak about in Kabbanis, melachos deimis, reva malosh and kosher. So you have melachos deimis, which is Sodomite salt, it was called, was very, very powerful. If a person had it on their fingers, the Gemara says, and they would touch their eyes, they would go blind. It would affect tremendously, would affect their eyesight. So therefore, in the time of the Gemara, it was mandatory to wash mayim achreinim at the end of the meal to get rid of the melachos deimis. Okay, so therefore it was mandatory. In fact, it was more important halachically then than mayim rishonim, which until Sidayim, because of truma, whatever the reason is. So therefore, in a lot of places, they're lenient. So nowadays, they're not doing mayim achreinim because they say we don't have melachos deimis. One second, we don't have melachos deimis today. There's nothing dangerous and all that stuff. So today, you don't have to do mayim achreinim. What?
Rabbi Mansour once said the story that the Talmud asked that question. And the night after that, the same night, they went for pizza and they put a lot of the chili pepper on their pizza.
No.
And the guy touched his eyes, but he didn't do anything. And his eyes was burning.
You know what the problem is with the story?
Yeah.
Because the way they hold, you don't make a meitzi on pizza. So they probably hold you don't have to wash, and then you don't have to bench.
No, if it's a meal, you have to...
They don't know. It's not so partial. According to them, we hold you have to wash on pizza if it's dough, flour and water. They hold even flour and water, but because it's cheese, they hold it's possible because anyway, let's leave that out. So anyway, bottom line is that according to Kabbalah, when you finish eating, there's a ruach ra, there's an evil spirit, impure spirit on your fingers, which has to be done through mayim achreinim. So mayim achreinim, you have to wash the bottom of your fingers, and it has to make sure that the water drips down, because the ruach ra you want to spill down. Therefore it says, you're supposed to wash mayim achreinim not on the floor where people walk, not on top of dishes, not on top of things in the sink. You're supposed to wash mayim achreinim either under a table where nobody's walking, or into a keli, and then the minig is you remove the keli that you wash the mayim achreinim and you remove it from the table, because there's an evil ruach ra in the water. 1 second. In fact, somebody asked me the other week, they have now, they come with these ingenious things to make money. They have a mayim achreinim spray. I saw it, somebody showed it to me in the house. Yeah, mayim achreinim spray, it actually sprays a little bit of water on your fingers. So you don't need a cup, you don't need a sink, you know. So he asked me if it's good. So he said, no, it's not good, because the Shulchan Aruch says that the mayim achreinim, the water has to drip off your fingers. You spray your fingers, give a spritz, with a sprayer, you damp your fingers, there's no water coming off. It's not coming off your fingers.
You dry your fingers after the mayim achreinim?
Yeah, you do dry your fingers. Yeah. The minig is to dry them. The Rebbe dried them. The minig is to, what?
If there's ruach ra, it's ruach ra. Why isn't women's ruach ra?
They don't have.
So, according to Shulchan Aruch, there's no difference between men and women washing mayim achreinim. But when we were in Kailo, we asked them Rabbi Dvorkin, he was in Rosh Kailo, but he was the Rav in Lubavitch. So we went over to him, we asked him why women don't wash mayim achreinim. His answer was because they don't want to. That was his answer. That was his answer. But what's the reason why they don't? So it says in Svarim, because they're always in the kitchen, they're always touching water. The men are sitting by the table, they're not touching water. The women are always washing their hands, washing the stuff. So therefore, basically, the water, the mayim achreinim they have, so to speak. That's the reason. But conceptually, there should be no difference between men and women. But
which knuckle do you have to wash it? The third knuckle? Or?
basically, from this knuckle down, some people like to wash until the end of the fingers. But at least from this, the second knuckle.
Not just the fingertips.
No, up to the, it should be really until here. Till the second knuckle.
It has to be from a clean.
Yeah, it should be from a clean. What do you, and what not?
I don't know, sometimes people just stick their hand on the top of the water tap of the sink.
They say hello to the water.
Yeah, or they turn a cup like
No,
this.
it has to be poured. It should be poured.
So that's from clean to clean.
Or from the sink, you turn it on and you wash your hands. But it has
Is
to,
water allowed to go on dishes?
it shouldn't go. It's on it. You don't go on dishes. Same thing says by negelvas. You don't wash over negelvas on top of dishes. If this is the first time you're washing. If you wash already by the bed, then you wash by the sink, so the tum is off already.
Until Sidai, it's okay with it?
Till Sidai, it's no tum at all.
Is there an opinion with regards that it has to, when you're pouring the ma'amachranim down, it should be a full keli, an unbroken keli? Is there such an opinion?
No, it doesn't have to be a keli, I don't think. I remember saying Shechina has to be a keli. Maybe I have to double check. I don't think so. I don't think you need a keli. But a spray is definitely no good because it's not doing anything. Okay, now according to Kabbalah, by the way, there's a big thing in my machreinim. Now there's another, I mentioned this the other day in between Mincha Ma'ariv, that the Rebbe brings down in the Haggadah Sikh from the previous Rebbe in Tavshin Beis, that the Friedrich Rebbe writes over there that we don't use silver for my machreinim. But lots of love, he's right in the Tavshin Beis, the previous Rebbe writes, but when Mashiach comes, we're going to be able to use silver for my machreinim. So some people are machmir, they don't use any metal, but officially it's silver that they don't use for my machreinim. By the Rebbe, same thing with mezuzah covered. But the Rebbe used to use, by the Fabrens at least, the Rebbe used to use a glass, like a glass. They wash my machreinim. Okay.
Are you having a present by benching? What do you have to do with it?
To get rid of it. So either there's my machreinim that you pour and then the thing covers it. So then it's covered. You don't have to take it off the table. Or else they either take it off the table or they put a napkin on top of it.
People sometimes just throw tissue inside. Tissue gets all wet.
What did you do with that? I mean, what did you gain by that?
It's not considered covered? Or?
It's not covered.
I think they put the tissue into which cup is not to be drunk out of.
Oh, but not that. But still, when you bench, that has to come off. Because a lot of times people use like 2 plastic cups, exactly the same. After the third person, you don't know which cup's which. So then you might be pouring again from the impure water. You might be pouring it back on your fingertips for my machrein.
And you have to get rid of the water because of the ruach ra.
Yeah. Pouring
it under the table, the water's still there.
No, but it's not. It's covered by the table, and it's not a place where people walking. Even Kitzi says. Yeah, you walk under the table, it's covered by the table, and people don't walk there. Okay, another important thing, by the way, that a lot of people don't, one second. You're not supposed to talk between my machreinim and benching. A lot of times people wash my machreinim, then they talk. You're not allowed to talk between my machreinim and benching, and if you do, you have to be wash my machreinim. So it says, even in kids, it says, you're not to be mafsik, talking-wise, between washing my machreinim and benching, and if you do, the custom is you have to be washed. What? 1 second, what?
They bring the water to me, but you didn't do shir malis. Can you do that and then say that, or is it also?
It's better to say shir malis first, but if not, that's part of benching. So if you're not, you can say, what?
Some people, they wash completely before it's benching.
They wash completely? What do you mean?
After they finish eating, before they bench, they do one. And then they start.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. I've seen some people do it.
I've seen a lot of people do a lot of funny things.
No. It's like
maybe they touch their butt and chutzah.
To wash until it's yadayim again?
Yeah.
Negulasi.
Before the event.
For benching.
Okay, anyway.